Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new on my channel, then welcome. Now today's video is somewhat different. It is actually one that was suggested by a very sweet subscriber of mine. I was requested to do a video showing where I use eye primers and stuff like that on half of my face, and then I don't use anything, like any kind of additional products on the other side. And you know, just to kind of get the glimpse of how much the presence of a primer actually matters. I felt like it was such a cool and fun idea, and also I just think it's very helpful to those people who are just starting out with makeup, who maybe don't know too much about it. I know that there are also some people who don't actually believe in primers at all, so you know, it's kind of like, so what are you supposed to believe? What is the right thing? Should I go with a primer? Should I not go with a primer? Do they work? Do they not work? Is it all just a gimmick? Although I am doing this kind of testing or comparison thing, I do have my mindset kind of in place when it comes to primers. I will get into that at the end of the video. Make sure to stick it out until that part of the video if you want to know what I actually think of primers. If you want to see whether primers are necessary, whether they are worth it, all that kind of good stuff is coming now, so keep watching. Ignore my skin, please. It is going through a tough time right now. I have several breakouts on my face right now, which is not very normal for me. I haven't had any breakouts or blemishes in quite a while. I hope I know who the culprit is. Hopefully it will return to its former state very soon. I have moisturized my face, and that is something that every single person before going in with makeup should do, regardless of whether you will be using primers or not, because moisturizer is the most important kind of prepping step, I feel like, well, alongside cleaning your face first, but going in with moisturizer is so important. I cannot say that enough. It is also crucial at making your makeup look nicer, because if you kind of think about it logically, it makes a whole lot of sense. If you go in with like foundation or whatever you're using, like a kind of base, straight away without giving the skin the moisture it needs first, it will start sucking all the moisture it can out of the products that you're using, and it just doesn't look flattering on anybody. But now that we have covered the number one basic step before going in with foundation or makeup in general, we're going to move on to primers, which is what this video today is all about. I am only going to apply primers on one half of my face. Normally I don't wear several primers on my face, but for the sake of today's video I am going to be doing that. The first one I'm going to use is the Catrice Prime and Fine Pore Refining Anti-Shine Base. This is a mattifying primer, which suggests that this is more targeted towards combination or oily skin. But this one I really like for the pore refining qualities. Whenever I put this on, I just feel like my makeup glides on so beautifully. It almost gives me this airbrushed effect. However, since it is a mattifying primer, I do not apply it on my whole face. I only place it on the kind of nose area and on the cheek area. Putting it a tiny bit on my forehead, but the tiniest bit, because I do have problem area around my eyebrows. I am going to go in with my second face primer. It is the BECCA First Light Priming Filter. Because it is slightly purple tinted, as you can obviously see, it does kind of brighten up the skin, bring life back into the skin, because that is what purple colors as color correctors do. It just kind of makes my skin more fresh and more awake, and I'm all about that. You can just kind of see how it, you know, adds this glow. This eye primer is something that I've been using quite a lot recently, because I just feel like it's nice. It's not too sticky, it's not too heavy and kind of thick in consistency. I don't really like those very thick eye primers and very sticky eye primers, because I just feel like they are more difficult to work with. I've really been liking the NYX High Definition Eyeshadow Base, because it's light, it is slightly tinted, like very slightly, and also it dries down ever so slightly, so I feel like I can blend eyeshadow on top of it. You can still see the veins on my eyelid. I wanted to say eyelids in plural, but on my eyelid you can still see it, but it is definitely slightly more balanced out than on this eye. I'm going to apply some of the NYX Dark Circle Concealer. Yes, in the shade medium, and I'm going to be using the Zoeva 142 Concealer Buffer Brush. Okay, so we are all primed and it's time to move on to the eye look. I'm going to be using an eyeshadow palette that is one of my holy grails. It's one of my all-time favorite palettes. I know the quality of these shadows. I know that they are exceptional. It is the Modern Renaissance by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now, because I will be using the reds mostly, I'm going to start off with the shade on Fresco. Let's just say it like that. I'm taking it on a fluffy Zoeva 228. Just following the natural shape of my eye, and I'm also bringing it in my outer V. Okay, and now I'm going to take the same shade and start blending it in my upper crease on the other eye, which doesn't have anything on it, and this just, oh, this feels so weird. The color is showing up, but because of the discoloration on my eyelids, it's not as true to color. Yeah, it is showing up quite a bit darker, I feel like. I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but this one is much more true to color. It is more like this cool toned dusty mauve shade, whereas this one is turning a bit more like pinkish purple. We'll try and build it up. I'm going to take a clean fluffy brush and I'm just going to buff over the edges. Oh my goodness, I just feel like they are completely different colors. Oh boy. I also feel like I'm using a lot more product on the unprimed side because I need to build it up. The color is not as pigmented as it is on this side. Looking at it in general, I feel like the shadow is a lot more patchy, but we will keep at it. We will keep at it and try and make both sides look as even as possible. So next I'm taking the shade Love Letter. I'm going to try and start building that one up in the crease and outer V. So I'm taking a Wet n Wild P15 brush, but I'm not taking the pink color all the way to my inner corner or on the front part of my lid. I'm keeping it on the outer half. And I'm going back in with the previous brush, the 228. It's a tad muddy, but it's nothing too dramatic right now. I do feel like on this side the pink is slightly more high up, so I'm going to take it a bit high on this side as well. I'm going to go in with the shade Venetian Red. I'm going to be taking the Wet n Wild P10 brush, and I'm again just tracing it ever so slightly on the outer V. Actually, I want to mix the Venetian Red shade with the Cypress Umber shade, the deepest eyeshadow of the palette. I'm going to take it on a 224 by Zoeva. And going back in with the previous brush, just to tap over. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm first going to take the shade Venetian Red and trace it on my lid. And now taking the shade Cypress Umber. Now let's just finish up the eyelid part and then I can clean up this mess underneath my eyes. Let's go in with the shade Vermeer, which is a champagne pink pearly shade. Actually, I'm going to take it first on my finger. And now I'm also going to take it on a 234 by Zoeva. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. And again, taking the shade with the brush. As the last thing, I'm just taking the big fluffy brush and again just going over the outermost edges. Okay, now I'm going to clean up underneath my eyes and probably I'll have to reapply the NYX Dark Circle concealer, corrector, whatever that was, and then we can move on to the face makeup. As you can see, with my under eyes cleaned up, I mean, like, they look almost quite similar, but I still am not a fan of how patchy the colors are on this side, how difficult they were to blend out, how easily they kind of turned muddy. It just wasn't pleasant. It wasn't a pleasant experience, and I'm not particularly happy with how it's looking like. Okay, and now I'm going to speed you guys through the rest of my makeup, and then we will finish up the eye look, and I will show you my face close up, so yeah, you can see what everything is looking like. Okay, now for the lower lash line, you guys know I like to keep it extra simple. So I'm first going to take the shade Bon Fresco, again, that we put in the crease as the first shade. And then I want to go in with the shade Venetian Red and put that on the lower lash line as well. So I'm just going to use those two colors and trace them both underneath my lower lashes. Now taking the shade Veneer, and I'm going to put that all over my inner corner. Now to finish up this look, I'm going to apply some of the L'Oreal Paradise Ecstatic waterproof mascara. I'm also going to apply some falsies. These are the Mary Kate from Red Cherry Eyelashes. And on my lips, I'm using the Catrice Ultimate Matte Lipstick in the shade 10 Coffee Mademoiselle. Right now, I feel like maybe this side is a tiny bit more glowy than this side, where there is no, the BECCA primer is not present. However, as for the pore situation, I don't feel like there's a big difference, to be honest. I remember when I used this quite a lot, and I did see a difference then. To be honest, my skin has improved since then, so maybe, I mean, not right now because I have these blemishes, but in general, my skin is a bit better than it was, and maybe that's why I don't see a huge difference. When it comes to the eyeshadow part, I still stand by what I said. It just looks like it's not quite there. And also I am not a fan of the color difference. On camera, I don't feel like it's picking it up too well. And also now that I have added lashes, it looks kind of okay. But in real life, when I look up close, this side it has more of that like reddish tinge to it. Whereas on this side, it's almost like deep purple, but this like not very flattering kind of purple. So this is how we are looking like at the moment. It is currently 4 p.m. We shall see how both sides hold up, and I will come back here and we will do a check-in at the end of the day. Don't mind the shirt change. I've been home all day and I've been editing and just kind of doing homey stuff, so yeah, that's why I wanted to change into something a bit more comfortable. It is now 12:30 at night. So that means that my makeup has been on for 8.5 hours. Okay, so this is the prime side. As you can see, it is still pretty much intact, and I don't know, maybe there are some areas that have faded a bit, like this kind of jaw section, but to be honest, I didn't have full coverage to begin with. The eyeshadows still look pretty okay besides just this area, but I'm pretty sure I was scratching my eye at one point, so I think it's because of that, because there's just this kind of one little hole in there. Now, the non-prime side, however, well, okay, the face is not doing too bad. I feel like the face is okay. For some reason I look really like reflective on these areas, like on my cheeks. So yeah, I don't know what that's about, but the bronzer has definitely faded and become more splotchy. There's not really any bronzer left on my forehead, but again, it could be down to the fact that I've been like, you know, messing around with my hair and just, you know, I might have just brushed it away. Other than that, I'm not really complaining about the face makeup on the non-prime side. What I cannot get over is the eye makeup. The most obvious thing is the shimmery shade. It is non-existent, pretty much. There's like a slight reflection left, but that's it. It has creased, and also there's this kind of one bald patch where the eyeshadow has completely worn off. I can see my skin peeking through so clearly. But obviously, like, the outer parts are patchy, but I don't think that they were incredibly well blended to begin with. I just want to quickly give you my thoughts on primers in general. When it comes to eye primers, as you can probably see, priming your eyelids, whether it be like an actual eyelid primer or just concealer or foundation or whatever, it just makes such a difference. If you have something that the eyeshadows can stick onto, it enables them not to crease, be more true to color, be more pigmented, and it's just so much easier to blend eyeshadows on an eyeshadow base. It really is. When it comes to eyeshadow primers, they are really, really, really necessary, and they kind of make or break an eye look, in my opinion. But when it comes to face primers, I feel kind of so-so. I think it really, really, really depends on your skin type and also what you want to achieve with your base makeup. So I think that primers are more so necessary for people who have very specific kind of issues on their skin. If you have enlarged pores, if you have lots of redness, if you have excessive dryness, like really, really flaky skin, or your skin gets extremely oily throughout the day. In that case, I feel like primers actually do help, because yes, moisturizer does like the first step of rehydrating the skin, but if you want the makeup to look nicer, then you kind of want to target the specific kind of skin issue that you have first, and that really aids the foundation that you're going to put on top to do its best. Other than that, if you don't have a specific skin issue to tackle, I'd say that primers are kind of like a nice to have step in your makeup routine, or maybe if you are looking for a specific kind of effect. For instance, there are heaps of glowy primers out there that don't actually do anything else than just give your face some glow or extra highlight or whatever. So there are different kinds of options out there, and it really just depends on what you're after, what your skin type is like, and all that kind of stuff. Now, in my case, because I have normal to dry skin, I tend to gravitate towards more hydrating primers and also glowy primers, because I really, really like that glowy kind of look. That is my personal stand on primers. You want to kind of analyze your skin first, then dig into what the options are, what would be the best things for you to go with, and then decide whether you want to invest in primers or not. Before I wrap up this video, I do want to give you my kind of recommendations for primers. Now, as you already saw, I do really like the BECCA First Light Priming Filter, but I also very much enjoy the BECCA Backlight Priming Filter. As you can see, I'm kind of halfway through this. If you're looking for a primer that would give you radiance that would come through your foundation as well, then I really like this one. This is my favorite. It is also extremely beautiful on the skin just on its own without even going in with any kind of foundation. But be warned, because this is a glowy kind of primer, it means that it will highlight every bit of texture and imperfection that you have going on your skin. Just be mindful of that. If you go in with like foundation and powder and all that kind of other stuff, you won't be able to see the imperfections, but just be mindful that if you do decide to wear this on its own, then yeah. Now, speaking of hydrating primers, if you're someone who has very, very dry skin, then my favorite hydrating primer is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. It's so incredibly soft and creamy and silky, and it's just the texture of this cream is delightful. It truly is, and I feel like it very easily just goes over the skin, absorbs into the skin, and it really does hydrate the skin. You can feel it, you can feel the moisture when you put this on. And lastly, I wanted to give you another drugstore option. I know that the Catrice Prime and Fine one that I was using in the video is already very, very affordable. I also very much enjoy the NYX Angel Veil Skin Perfecting Primer. This is kind of similar to the Catrice one in the sense that I feel like it is more so mattifying, or it's more so meant for like combination or oily skin. If you have like more enlarged pores, or if you have just texture issues, I feel like this kind of really does create this beautiful even veil on the skin. This is a nice silicone based primer if you're looking for one. And that concludes this video. I hope it was useful and helpful to you guys. I would be very, very interested to know what you guys think of primers. Do you use primers? Do you think that they are pointless and a waste of money? And if you do use primers, which ones are your favorite primers? Maybe I haven't tried some that you've tried and that you absolutely love. I would love to find out, you know, what you guys use, what you love, all that kind of good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then you already know, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We are so close to 3,000 guys, so close. So yeah, I would really appreciate to have you guys join my little family. Other than that, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!